Alright, so I am just outside William Shakespeare's house, and I've got with me, what's your name, madam? Claire. And Claire is from this town. How long have you been? All your life? Perfect. So we're gonna ask her to direct us to the house exactly. So I'm gonna switch the camera to you, Claire.
Okay.
Can you direct us? Can you send us in the direction of his house? Where exactly is the house?
Yes, the birthplace
Yes.
where Shakespeare was born is right here on
So
the left
that
hand
one,
side.
that
so
house?
the timbered house here
That
is
one,
Shakespeare's birthplace.
Perfect. And how long did he live there all his life, or did he have to?
No, there are other properties in Stratford where he lived during his life.
Right, but this is where he was born.
That's where he was born. And
So
then,
it was owned up until his death. It was owned by his parents or him, or who was it owned
I'm
by?
actually not sure.
Not sure about
No,
that.
it's now owned by the Birthplace Trust, the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust. But
Trust.
Shakespeare and his family,
Mhm.
once he got married and moved, there was another property called New Place,
Right.
where he lived with his family for a number of years.
So now, are there any of his descendants still, in or around? Do we know?
That I wouldn't know. I suspect there
Should be.
probably are,
Yeah.
but I don't.
He
wouldn't
had
know.
kids, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
He did.
Yes,
So there
yes.
must be some. Okay, and so. I am originally from Pakistan. The reason why I want to learn about all of this is because we in Pakistan don't really take care of our heritage and arts and culture in the way that you do, right? So why do you think it is important for any country to preserve their culture? Why should we do it?
I think it's important when some people disagree.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of our heritage here in this country, and I think it helps us to understand the history, events that have happened in the past, and I think particularly with Shakespeare because of the literature aspect that is studied today, and a lot of themes that run through the Shakespeare plays are still common themes today.
Right.
And so this is all part of the culture.
So would it be fair to say, that we must preserve history and culture in order to understand history, in order to learn from mistakes that people in the historical past made, and then not make the same mistakes?
To some extent,
Yeah.
yes, very much my personal perspective.
How does it make you feel that he was in what century? 16th century?
Yes.
He was.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So how does it make you feel that even after 500 years,
Yes.
you can still see that house that was
Yes.
built in the 16th century? How does it
Yes.
make you feel?
I think that's incredible, and I'm
Isn't it?
very interested in seeing that and looking at photographs going back years to see how it's changed around the house
Area.
and how certain buildings still look pretty much the same after all this
Right.
time.
It is amazing, isn't it?
Yes,
That house is still stood there,
Yes.
like after 400-500
That's
years.
right, yes.
And that is fascinating, isn't it? In a way that, you can tell your children and the next generation that this is our history. Let's take pride in it
Yes.
and preserve it. Well, not necessarily the other history that came along with the foreign expeditions and colonizing people. We're not really proud of that history, but the history of this kind, isn't it? To keep passing it through your generation.
Yes,
so
I think it gives a sense of togetherness for the
togetherness,
well,
the
certainly
unity.
for the people of Stratford, and we get so many visitors here as well, and I think it's nice for them to come and see the places.
So overall about the town, you said you've been here for a long time, and how long is that?
Well, I've actually lived in Stratford now I've been in this area probably for about 20 years. So
20
I've lived
years.
in Stratford
Where were you
for a few
born?
years. I was born in Yorkshire.
Yorkshire. How far
Yes.
is it from here?
from here, it's roughly 140, 150 miles.
Right. We are in Warwickshire, right?
Yes.
Right now.
That's
Okay.
right, yeah.
So, in the last 20 years,
Yes.
looking at, I'm going to just show
Yes.
the street. This is the high
Yes.
street, isn't it?
It's one of Main Street,
One of
yes.
it,
If you
okay.
carry on, we get to Bridge Street, which is also a main street.
So, in the last 20 years, Claire,
Yes.
how much of these streets have changed?
I think this particular street hasn't changed
Much.
that much because
Right.
the buildings are fairly old.
Right. So when you guys have to modify or let's say modernize,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What do you do? Do you get rid of the arts, culture, heritage, or do you preserve it while adopting modernization?
I think a bit of both, really. I mean, I think obviously there are many more buildings now in Stratford than there were historically.
Right.
And I think their usage changes more quickly now than the actual buildings themselves.
Perfect. One last question, Claire. You see how all of these shops,
Yes.
it isn't very, surprising for you guys, it is for us. There is no encroachment of any of these buildings. Like all of these buildings are aligned with each other.
Yes.
It's like no one can encroach upon the government land. In Pakistan, on the other hand, everyone's trying to encroach upon the government land, and the more you have encroached, the more powerful it makes you feel inside.
Yes.
I mean, it is a primitive thinking. What is your thought about it? What would you tell us about that? Why isn't that a good idea?
I think it's just taking up too much space. I mean, it probably doesn't look good,
Right,
but also
yeah.
it's who takes priority. What should the priority be?
And what should it be?
And what should the government land be used for?
Right.
Um,
So what should the priority be according to you?
well, I think it's compromise. If there is a genuine need for the government to have the amount of land that they have got,
Yeah.
then obviously they're entitled to that to an extent.
Right.
But on the other hand, the owners, the landlords of the properties, I don't know how it works in your country, but a lot of these properties would be owned or would have landlords.
Right.
And they want their space,
Right.
their outside space.
So this street is how wide according to you? How wide is this? Let's say about 100 feet.
Ish.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how would it make you feel if in the next 20 years this narrows down to, let's say, 30 or 40 feet
Yes.
because people have encroached upon? How would you feel about it?
Yes. I think that would be a big shame.
Yeah?
Yes, I would rather that didn't happen.
Right,
For the
right.
the aesthetic appearance of the
Right.
this
That
particular street.
is that to you in a way theft? Like openness
I suppose it
about
could
that
be.
theft?
I mean, this particular street, it hasn't always been pedestrianised.
Right.
It was, through through traffic streets, so
Right,
it hasn't always felt as wide and spacious as
Right.
it does now.
But how? Well, my point, I think, the reason why I'm asking this question is I'm trying to get to the point that no matter how wide or narrow a street is, you just don't cross limits, right? And
Yes.
you guys don't do that here. You're not allowed to, if let's say that were your house, right,
Yes,
with that red door, you wouldn't come out even 1 inch. Like that would be seen as an encroachment upon the
Yes,
land,
they'd
and the
have to.
council will come and
That's right, yes. they
tell
would
you
have
not to do that, right?
They would have to apply for what we call planning permission.
right.
To do
And if they don't
anything
allow
like
you,
that.
then you can't do
If
it.
they don't allow it, you can't do it.
You
and
can't
if
do
you go
it.
ahead and do it,
Then what
the,
would
the
happen?
council could come and demand that be taken down.
And they could also charge you criminally, right? They can take you to
I would
court.
think so, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there can be a lot of fines as well. So both.
Yes.
Right.
But some of
Okay.
these buildings are, like, for example, that one, they are what we call listed buildings.
Listed, you
which are
can't-
protected.
Protected
So
by
those
what?
buildings can't have anything done to them.
Right, right. So
To,
you
to
can't
preserve the
to preserve
Yeah.
the history.
Appearance of the
And
history,
it is my
yeah.
understanding that any building that is more than 100 years old, it is automatically a listed building. Is that true?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
No worries. Claire, thank you so very much. You've been
It's
so
very
kind.
interesting. Yes.
Highly appreciate you.
Thank
It
you.
was very nice meeting you,
Yes,
madam.
thank you,
Do you
and
have
you.
any questions from me, though?
No.
You don't? Okay, thank you. Take care. Take care, bye. चलें जी, ये आपको शेक्सपियर का घर दिखा देते हैं. आपने देखा, सुना, समझा कि किस तरह इन लोगों को परमिशन है ही नहीं कि इनक्रोच करें. मतलब हम जो अपना बाथरूम निकाल लेते हैं अपनी गली में, हम जो अपना जो स्टेप्स हैं वो निकाल लेते हैं, ये चीज़ें यहाँ पे अलाउड नहीं है. राइट. ये मैं आपको घर दिखाता हूँ. ये है जिस घर में विलियम शेक्सपियर पैदा हुआ था. ये काफ़ी लोगों को ये चीज़ें जो है वो इतनी इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं लगती, लेकिन मेरा जो रीज़न है बताने का और इसको रिकॉर्ड करने का वो ये है, 2-3 चीज़ें हैं. एक तो ये है कि आप हिस्ट्री को प्रिजर्व करो, आर्ट्स आर्किटेक्चर को अपने प्रिजर्व करो, उसको ज़िंदा रहने दो, उसको मारो नहीं. उसकी वजह ये है कि जब आप अपनी हिस्ट्री को ज़िंदा रखते हैं तो उसमें आपको सीखने को मिलता है. जैसे इसने कहा, क्लेयर ने हमें बताया कि ये इट्स अ सेंस ऑफ यूनिटी, इट क्रिएट्स अ सेंस ऑफ यूनिटी, टुगेदरनेस वाज हर वर्ड. टुगेदरनेस कि आपको जो है ये हिस्ट्री जो है वो एक साथ अपने डिफरेंसेस को भूलने और एक चीज़ पे इकट्ठा होने के लिए आपको जो है वो पुश करती है. तो इसलिए और फिर टूरिज़म भी बढ़ता है, लोग पूरी दुनिया से आते हैं. आपने देखा कि 27 लाख लोग, 2.7 मिलियन, was it 2.7 मिलियन और 2.7, 27 लाख लोग हर साल इनके मुल्क में आते हैं. तो जाहिर सी बात है ये इतना पैसा ये आता है इस मुल्क में ना. देखिए, डॉलर महंगा क्यों हो रहा है पाकिस्तान में? क्योंकि हमारे पास जो डॉलर है वो उतना नहीं है जितना हमारे ऊपर कर्ज़ा है. ये जितना हमारे ऊपर कर्ज़ा है ना, तो वो रुपयों से हल नहीं होगा. फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल, अगर मेरे ऊपर अमेरिका का कर्ज़ा है पाकिस्तान के ऊपर, तो पाकिस्तान से अमेरिका रुपए नहीं लेगा, अमेरिका पाकिस्तान से डॉलर्स ही लेगा. ठीक है? या सोना लेगा, या कोई वैल्यूएबल चीज़ लेगा. वो रुपया नहीं लेगा, क्योंकि रुपये की कीमत कोई नहीं है पाकिस्तान के अंदर, दुनिया के अंदर. तो जब आपके पास, आप बाहर एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं, या कोई इंग्लैंड से पाकिस्तान या किसी भी बाहर के मुल्क से पाकिस्तान पैसे भेजता है कोई अपने घर में, तो वो पैसे फॉरेन रेमिटेंसेस कहलाता है. अगर पाकिस्तान, इंग्लैंड का कोई बंदा आके पाकिस्तान में इन्वेस्टमेंट करता है, तो वो इंग्लैंड से पाउंड्स लेकर पाकिस्तान आ रहा है. ये जो भी, अब देखें, वो पाउंड लेकर बैंक में आ रहा है और पाकिस्तान आ रहा है, तो उसको पाकिस्तान में तो रुपए मिल रहे हैं, तो ये पाउंड कहाँ गए बीच में? ये ऐसा होता है कि स्टेट बैंक को ये पाउंड्स जाते हैं, वो डॉलर्स में कन्वर्ट होके, और डॉलर्स वो अपने पास रख के उनको स्टेट बैंक पाकिस्तान में रुपए फराम करता है. तो इससे क्या होता है, इन 3-4 ज़रियों से आपके पास ज़राए मुबालगा, जो भी लफ्ज़ है, मुबादला या जो भी, आपको फ़ॉरेन करेंसी मिलती है. मतलब आपको डॉलर्स मिलते हैं. जब वो आपको डॉलर्स मिलते हैं तो उसका मतलब कि आपके पास जो है इतनी वर्थ है. मतलब अगर आपके पास 20 बिलियन डॉलर हैं, तो इसका मतलब आप 20 बिलियन डॉलर का कर्ज़ा बाहर से ले सकते हैं. या इतना 20 डॉलर, वो बिलियन डॉलर जैसे ही आपका ख़त्म हो जाएगा ना, तो आप बैंकरप्ट हो जाएंगे, आप दिवालिया आपका निकल जाएगा. तो ये है. तो इनके पास जो टूरिस्ट आते हैं, ज़ाहिर सी बात है वो बाहर के मुल्कों से अपना पैसा लेकर आते हैं यहाँ पर, तो वो इनको जो टूरिज़म में पैसा मिलता है, तो इनका जो फॉरेन करेंसी है वो बढ़ती है. समझ रहे हैं आप? تو اس سے یہ ملک اور امیر ہوتا ہے. تو اگر ہم بھی اپنی آرٹس اور آرکیٹیکچر کو کلچر کو پرزرو کریں گے تو ہمیں بھی یہ ہوگا. اس کے ساتھ ساتھ اپنی ہسٹری سے سیکھنے کو ملے گا, اس کے ساتھ ساتھ ایک یونٹی قائم ہوگی. دیکھیں نا شیکسپیئر پہ کوئی ڈس ایگریمنٹ اتنا کوئی خاص تو نہیں ہوگا نا, تو کم از کم ایک طریقہ ہے لوگوں کو ساتھ لانے کا. سب کو پسند ہے ولیم شیکسپیئر اس ٹاؤن میں. بہرحال اور آخری مقصد یہ ہے کہ ان کی اچھی چیزوں کو اپناتے ہوئے ان کی بری چیزوں سے دور رہنا ہے. کل رات میں نے آپ کو ان کی بری چیزیں دکھائی تھیں, آج میں نے آپ کو ان کی اچھی چیزیں دکھائی. بہرحال آج کے لیے تو اتنا ہی. بہت بہت شکریہ, انشاءاللہ پھر ملیں گے. تھینک یو.